Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Psychosin project here on Total Metal Radio. And joining me on Skype today is vocalist for up-and-coming metal band Heart of a Coward, Jamie Graham. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. How's it going?
I'm alright, thank you very much, mate. Now, you're gearing up for a UK and Ireland tour. Are you looking forward to it, and will you be playing tracks from your upcoming new album live?
Yeah, we will be, yes. It's basically like a regional tour. I guess it's known in the industry horribly as like a B-market tour. It's basically all the towns that we didn't get to play in the last sort of 6-7 months, and the places that we're probably not going to get to play in the next 6-7 months, because we're planning on heading out to America and Europe and stuff like that. So yeah, we've been rehearsing about half the album at the moment to sort of blend in with the current set. So hopefully it'll be the tracks that people want to hear. We've been kind of guessing at it, because it's always a bit hard when you've got a new record out, like whether to judge to play the whole record or whether to play the songs that people want to hear. Or it's been a subject of a lot of back and forth. So we're still not really sure what we're going to play yet, to be honest. But
so is there possible plans of doing a tour where you play the entire new record and then some of the fan favourites from the previous albums then?
Yeah, well, I think with this tour, I think the plan's to play the songs that people want, and then to sort of test drive some of the new stuff and see what goes down well, because we're sort of planning on touring this record a lot in the next year. So obviously the tour's quite close to the album release, so we're not going to get that much feedback in terms of what tracks are everyone's favourites and what people want to see live. So we're just going to have to sort of take a guess, really, stab in the dark with it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the best you can do, really, in that situation.
Exactly. We would like to do the whole album, but I don't think I'll be able to hack it, man. Like we did the Severance tour where we played like the whole album back to back.
Yeah.
And it was basically a nightmare tour because I had 106-degree fever on the third day of the tour.
Oh, bloody hell!
But we couldn't pull the tour, obviously. So I basically did every night, just like lying on the couch upstairs in the dressing room or whatever for about 2 hours with a bag over my head, just trying to block out the light from blinding headaches and stuff. It was just a complete nightmare. So I think we're gonna have to rehearse like absolute dogs to get that idea out of my head, especially as in a winter tour as well, doing the whole album from start to finish and then playing the songs that people want. That's probably about 16 songs, 17 songs.
Yeah.
I'm not Bruce Dickinson, man. Do you know what I mean? I can't do it.
Yeah, it's a bit hard on the throat doing your kind of vocals.
It is a bit, yeah. I'm not really sort of bellowing operatic sonatas. I don't think my throat can take it, but I don't know. I mean, I listened to like Pantera's live album, and that's about an hour and a half long, so I should probably just man up, really. Yeah.
Well, in the end, if it all fails, you can always just have a bottle of Jack Daniels or something on the stage for you. Help with the throat.
Yeah, that's true. That's bad. That's very bad advice, though. You shouldn't be telling me that, because I'll probably end up doing that, and then I'll blame it on you.
That's fine, if it gets you through the tour, man. If it gets you through the tour. Now, you mentioned your new album there. You released a new album, Deliverance, on the 3rd of October.
Yes.
What can people expect from it?
Well, God. Well, it's the difficult third album, isn't it? Like, without sounding like a cliche, it's kind of, I think a lot of people are expecting, this to sort of be the one, as it were. We've kind of been throwing a few curveballs out, not to fuck with people, just to keep people guessing. Excuse my French. Like we dropped Hollow was kind of an obvious single for us because it opens the album, and it was just a kind of a good kind of summary. If you like Hollow, basically, then you'll like the album because it's very much in that kind of vein. It's a little bit more pacey than Severance. We've tried a few things that we didn't do on albums before in terms of bringing in some influences that we didn't really feel kind of worked when we were first writing the songs for Severance and stuff, but they did work for the stuff we were writing for this, like kind of grungy influences. Like we were all well into Alice in Chains and sort of the darky kind of Phrygian stuff, like the kind of evil.
Yeah. So it's essentially a more darker album than the last album, would you say? Oh, hello.
Sorry, mate, I think I lost you there.
No, it's alright. Skype's only come up with call on hold for a moment there for some reason. So would you say it's a darker album than Severance, or?
Yeah, I think there's just basically like there's a lot more variety in terms of just the general arsenal that we're bringing on this album. It's like Severance was very mid-paced and sort of quite heavy throughout, and I think this album's got a lot more variety in terms of the pace, and there's a few songs that people will sort of be quite surprised by, I think.
Yeah. Now, you recently released a lyric video for the song Turmoil 1 Wolves. How have you found the reaction to that song to be so far?
Kind of what we expected. I mean, it's quite a simple song, and it's a part 1 of 2, so I think people were kind of expecting, like, you know, a sort of another kind of magnum opus single or whatever, like Hollow was, but we kind of, like I was saying, we're throwing out some curveballs there. This is like a 2-parter, Turmoil, so when the second song drops, you'll kind of, the first one makes sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like going back to your Pantera comparison earlier, like the Suicide Note part 1 and part 2 that they did.
Exactly. I mean, like, if you listen to the songs by themselves, like, they're good songs, but it's when you listen to them back to back is when it really makes sense. So
yeah,
the idea with Turmoil with Wolves was to basically have sort of a really simple meat and potatoes pit anthem. It's kind of like, not like the dead weight of Deliverance, but it's kind of the closest you'll get in terms of like the simplicity of the song. Like, there's not much. In fact, I don't think there's any kind of lead riffing in it at all. It's all very kind of chord and riffy based, very straight ahead. There's no polyrhythms in there. It's just a bit of a rager. But there are some songs on the album that are completely the opposite and like very kind of groove metal and very time signature-y and stuff. So we just wanted to make sure that, you know, every new song that we drop is a little bit different from the last one. So we've got a couple more singles that we're planning on dropping from this album that will kind of hopefully show how many kind of strings we're adding to the bow on this one. I sound really David Brent now, but but that, I guess that's the kind of, now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, I guess the main intention with this record was to kind of show people what we can do other than just being like a heavy kind of groove orientated band. You know, I think our main rep at the moment, especially live, is for being, you know, pretty heavy and just kind of bringing like a big fist to the face live show. But I'd like to think as well that there's songs there that people can kind of, that will resonate a little bit, and hooks that will stay with you, you know.
Yeah. So there's essentially, you've got a couple of songs that are a bit like sick and a bit more gent metal in on the album.
I'd say less sick than gent and more, you know, just this kind of more like darker stuff. Like, I guess a comparison would be like After the Burial or something like that.
Yeah.
But even then, it's. We don't really fall into that bracket as much as a lot of people might think we do. I mean, we toured with like After the Burial, and we've played with all sorts of bands within that genre, and it's obviously a huge part of our sound. But I'd like to think that, you know, we've got just as much kind of influence in bands like Slipknot and Killswitch Engage, and the sort of a lot more kind of traditional songwriting structures, you know.
Yeah.
Particularly on this new album, I think with the older stuff, it was a lot more of a riff fest, and we kind of jumped from one thing to another. But with this record, we're trying to consciously write songs for the sake of a good song, rather than just having a really heavy breakdown or a really good sort of polyrhythm section or an interesting lead or whatever. We're trying to serve the song, as it were.
So with regards to the Turmoil 1 Wolves, that's the song you want to see sort of a wall of death go off in the mosh pit.
Exactly, yeah. It's one that we kind of drop mid-set to kind of, you know, to pick up the pace again after playing something a bit slower and a bit heavier, you know.
Now, with regards to the new album, as you said, it's sort of, you get the whole thing of third album always difficult. Did you yourselves find this to be an easier or difficult process writing this album compared to the previous albums?
I think, well, Carl absolutely killed it, basically, long and short. Carl wrote about 70%, well, 60%, I don't know, just over half the record. He just wrote in his bedroom and just sent us a load of demos back, and we were all just like, bloody hell, like, couldn't believe how quickly he cooked it all up. He just basically quit his job for 4 months and just holed himself up in his house and just played till his fingers bled, basically, to coin a bit of Bryan Adams. But yeah, for me vocally it was quite a tough record to finish, because I wanted to write about stuff that, to put it bluntly, like Severance, I was going through a lot of personal stuff during Severance that made me particularly angry and bitter about stuff, and a lot of that resonated into the songwriting. So I'm a slightly more, I'd like to think I'm a little bit more sort of, not chilled, but a little bit more wary of the things I was getting angry about now. So I guess that kind of translates into the lyrical matter and the title and everything. but it's not a personal record either. I think there's a lot of stuff that we were writing about that we all wanted to write about. So, you know, stuff like Anti-Life and A Grain of Sand and songs like that, we all had input on the lyrics.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how do you feel that the band's sound has evolved over the years?
Like I was saying earlier, we've just learned to serve the song a little bit more. The older stuff, there was a little bit more riff orientated. We kind of didn't concentrate on choruses, but we always made sure that there was like a melodic part in a song that was kind of accessible. We realised that actually, you know, that's all well and good, but if there's not like a good song there, it kind of falls a bit flat. So I think the lesson we've learned on this record is just to serve the song a bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in other words, we've matured, but I didn't want to say that because it just makes me sound like a knob.
No, you sound fine, mate. You sound fine. Essentially, you're just saying, basically,
we're like a fine cheese. we're not like a fine wine, because that implies we're going to be around for like 50 years, which we won't. But we're like a fine cheese. You know, we've mellowed and matured. but you know, it's still strong.
Yeah. I can't really ask for a better sort of explanation than that.
It's not like a baby bell. It's not like a baby bell that you eat and you go, oh, that was like a really good bit of cheese, and that's served me, and now I'm ready for my next meal. It's like, no, this is a nice bit of blue cheese to savour. You don't want to have too much in one go, you know, because you might not get it all, or it might get a bit overwhelming.
So, Heart of a Coward is that cheese that stays with you in your memory.
Cheese metaphors.
I'll be honest, I did not expect this sort of interview to get very cheese-based.
Yeah, cheese-based. I think it might be something to do with what I'm having for dinner. I think I've just got cheese on the brain.
Now, how would you yourself describe the sound of the band to someone who hadn't heard you yet?
Are we sticking to cheese metaphors now?
You can if you like, sir.
No, we'll stick to normal English. To someone who hasn't heard us, I like to go by the 3-band rule, because right. I always, you know, if someone's like, oh, have you heard so and so, I'm like, who do they sound like? And then I usually ask for 3 bands that they sound like, you know. I guess like our biggest influences would be Pantera, Slipknot, and Meshuggah, with a bit of sort of Killswitch in there, and modern metalcore and stuff like that. But you know, I guess for a new listener, I just say if you like, you know, anything that's sort of made for the pit and for the live setting, then you'll probably like us, because we tend not to kind of go too over the top with, you know, the instrumental side of things. We're not playing solos all over the place and having 5-minute extended bits for the listener to get involved with. It's kind of quite, what you see is what you get. So
you've got no moments where you've got to get off and change into something else, then come back on.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what are the plans for the future of the band?
Just to keep writing. I think we're already talking about writing the next record, like pretty much straight away. We're just going to write it on the road and start demoing stuff pretty early on. But yeah, I mean, we want to get out to America next year. We've had some offers to go out there, and we've had an offer to go out to Australia as well. And yeah, we just want to try and get as many territories covered as we can for this record.
Get the name out there a bit more worldwide.
Yeah, because I think in the UK and on the mainland in Europe and stuff, I think we've started making some good waves now. And like obviously doing Download was a big deal for us, and you know it was the second time we've done it, but to do the main stage was a big deal for us. And that was kind of the affirmation that we needed to kind of really sort of go for it with this next album, you know. Yeah.
Now,
just keep doing what we're doing, really. To answer your question, long and short, that'd be it. Yeah.
And no cheese metaphor this time.
No cheese metaphor this time, no.
Now, what can people such as myself, who haven't seen you live, expect from the live show?
Pretty much what you hear on the record, just with a little bit more aggression and a bit more rawness. And I like to think we're one of those bands that do sound like our CDs do, but we're not sort of overly polished either. We don't make it all sort of sheeny and stuff, but yeah, just come down, come check it out. I'm sure you'll have a good laugh.
Well, if you made it too much sort of polished and all that, you might as well go and see someone like Nickelback, which is just really boring, because you might as well have just stayed at home, listen to the album.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the equivalent of like going, okay, I could go into my fridge right now and I could make myself a really nice meal, or I could just slice a big bit of Boggers cheese and put it on some bread and just eat that and just be full, get my sustenance. You don't want to do that. You want to want to get the whole cheese platter out there and have as many different cheeses as you can, you know. Sorry, it's been a long day, man. I'm kind of trying to have fun. Trying to have fun with this.
That's fine, man. It's all good. It's all good. Now, on your last album, we've mentioned it a few times, Severance. You got to work with Justin Hill from one of my personal favourite UK bands, Sixth. Now, how did that come about, and what was it like working with him?
Well, he guested on Severance anyway, because I did all my vocals with him. He recorded the vocals on Severance, so when we were recording that, I just said, you know, it'd be wicked to get you on Distance, and he was up for it. So then, I mean, I knew Justin from living in Reading before anyway, because that's where he's based. So we've known each other a while. But then after we did the recording for Severance, we basically kept in touch, and Sixth obviously reformed shortly later and asked us to support them on the tour, which we obviously jumped at, and it just kind of followed from there. Really, we were just hanging out for a week or so on tour, and then he just put it to us and said, "Oh, you know, I'd love to have a stab at mixing your next record." And we said, "Well, F that, why don't you just record it and mix it and just do the whole lot?" And he was well up for it, so we just that was it. It was one conversation.
So you didn't bribe him with any cheese then?
I did. You've got me. I had a multi-pack of Baby Bell in my rucksack.
See, that's how they
fly
book
on a
Sixth.
poo. Yeah.
That's how we get him on tour. We just bring out the Baby Bell, go, right, come play these towns.
Bring out the Baby Bell and the squeezy cheese as well.
Primula.
Yeah, Primula, that's it.
Primula, or is it just the way you're walking? Talking about the new album again, have you got any guests on the upcoming album? And
we don't, man.
No?
No. We were talking about having some guests on it, but I don't know. The songs were just kind of written, and then we just. Usually guest parts kind of jump out at you, like, oh, that would be perfect for this person or whatever. Like we did have a couple of people in mind, but the first person that we approached really early on couldn't do it because of contractual reasons, and we thought, actually, do you know what? This is long. Let's just do it ourselves, and then maybe on the next record we'll actually write some songs with some guest parts in mind, rather than just sort of having the songs and going, oh, who can we get to guest on the record? It just seemed a bit of a cop out, really.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, who did you approach, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I can't say, man, because then you know that, you know, label that. So, yeah.
To be honest with you, there's a certain large record label that don't like me anyway. So.
Oh, really? Okay, well, don't worry, man. That's a long, huge drain pipe of poo that you don't want to go down.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I didn't even do anything that bad to him. That's the worst part. Anyway,
there's no cheese at the bottom of it either.
There is no cheese, and it's just terrible. I mean, can't run a record label without cheese at the end of it, you know.
You can't. You need a bit. You need a big cheese at the top running it, don't you?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll try and act professional a bit here. I'll try.
Completely professional. This is good. This is what people want to hear on the radio, man.
Indeed.
They want to hear about cheese, and they want to hear about
cheese metaphors, and Dave Brent, and
David Brent, beef and cheese. I'm talking about like metaphorical beef.
Have we just worked out the name of the next Heart of a Coward album?
That's what it's going to be called. Brent, beef and cheese.
Oh dear, sounds like some really dodgy 80s UK DJs.
I'd buy it. I'd totally buy it. I'm sold just on the title.
Oh, yeah, it'd be interesting.
If you were announcing, you're writing your next album, which is entitled Brent, Beef and Cheese, would you care to explain that? I don't think I'd need to. I think people will have already pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I mean, if they say, do you need to explain it, just say, title says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does the new album have a concept connecting the songs? Like Severance had a loose concept with it.
It's got a loose concept in the same way Severance has. It's kind of. I think it's quite easy to work out, really. If you're familiar with Severance and stuff, you can kind of see how it comes full circle a little bit. I mean, it's not like a running concept throughout the record, but a lot of the lyrical stuff in Severance is kind of met again in Deliverance, and it's kind of resolved, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you'll have to read the lyrics in Severance and then read the lyrics in Deliverance and figure out the ones that are directly related.
So
it's like a little.
Would you call it essentially kind of a partner album to Severance?
Yeah, I'm gonna get all Brent now. It's like an enigma, an enigma code. Got to give it some listens.
I've got to be honest, if I come see you live and I do not see you do the Brent dance at least once, I will be very disappointed.
Okay, alright, I'll do it just for you then, yeah. No worries.
Now, going back to when the band first got together, because some of my listeners will probably be wondering this as well, where did the band name come from?
I think it was one of the original members who, well, I think it was Tim who thought of it, who's guitarist and hacktivist. I think it's based on like the Cowardly Lion, I think, in Wizard of Oz.
Oh right.
Or like the concept of his character, basically, like an exterior of strength. You know, obviously with like a troubled soul inside. So it's good. So I thought it was, to be honest, I thought what a crap name until someone actually kind of explained what the name was, and I was like, oh, that's actually quite cool. So. Yeah, it's not the best band name in the world, but it's kind of stuck and people seem to like it now, so it's
well,
cool.
you say that, I mean, you got bands out there like We Butter the Bread with Butter. You know, there's band names like that, so you're doing better than that.
I butter the bread with cheese, personally.
Well, you know, I had a feeling it might make another sneaky return there.
Yeah, of course. You are setting yourself up for them.
I will, I did. I walked straight into that, run into it like a big old wall of cheese.
You did.
Now, finally, is there anything you would like to say to the fans?
Yeah, just really hope you like the new record. Come down to a live show. Can't promise I'll do a Brent dance, but if enough people ask for it, I'll do one. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a sort of cheesy person and make some rubbish announcement, really. So just, buy the record. If you like it, wicked. Tell other people about it. Hopefully they'll get it as well. And yeah, cheers for listening.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Graham of Heart of a Coward. They're doing an Ireland and UK tour over the next couple of months. Go check them out. Jamie, cheers for joining us tonight, mate.
Thanks very much.
No problem.
I try to